and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. A great big shout out to my channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you. And of Crack the Vault collab hosted by Poetspice. It is a collab that we do every month on the third Friday of the month. Definitely check out my description box for all of the people participating in this monthly collab. The whole point of it is to use your stash, either things that have been in your collection for over 6 months or new to you things, just so that you're using it, as well as usually with these types of hobbies, collecting it. I've deviated from some of my other videos. It's been actually a couple of years since I featured this particular creative journal. I do have quite a few creative journals, and for whatever reason I was feeling like playing in this one, and so I'll be talking about this. This is an A5 Archer and Olive dot grid journal. They no longer make this particular style because, as you can see, it actually has 3 kinds of paper in it, and this was probably hands down my favorite Archer and Olive product. I wish I'd actually had ordered more. I'm not usually one who collects a ton of journals just to have on hand, but because they no longer make this, I'm kind of sad. And I've never seen any other brand do this. I think at one point they also had done this with pastel papers, but I actually don't lean towards pastel. So this is something that is, I want to say it's precious. It's still just a notebook, but I love the concept of it. And I don't actually order from Archer and Olive anymore just because they changed how they ship or how they charge shipping to Hawaii and Alaska. But if they were to come back with the tricolor journal, and actually in any size, even though A5 is my favorite, I'd actually buy it in whatever size it came out in. I actually would definitely think about it. I think at the time they didn't have a lot of options on covers. I generally would not buy something pale like this. I definitely lean more towards darker or jewel tones, but I think this was all that was available. But if what I'm assuming is the glare, I do always put cover on covers on most of my product, even if it's like that faux leather, just because I do want it to stay pristine. And I've had this since like 2020, 2021. And so, you know, it does stay perfect just because I do keep it in a cover. So what this journal is, it actually started out with a different function. Originally, I was watching a ton of videos, and again, back in 2020-21, on perspective drawing, and it looked very simple. It's not. It's actually really hard to do. And so I remember that I was going to use this for a perspective drawing, and I was starting it, and it just was way, way harder than I had anticipated. And I'm happy with the results, but you know, the thing with watching YouTube is, you know, a 10-minute video that's sped up, and for someone who has the knowledge and the muscle memory, it's very easy to do things. But for me, it was not easy. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do any more of that, but if I ever do, it's in this section that I'm going to do it. Now, then I decided, because I had watched a Skillshare video on illustrated journals, that I was going to do an illustrative journal. Now, I don't do it in what anyone consider a traditional sense of it, because I'm actually not trying to capture my week and year in here. This is actually just for me to play. And it is based on a week basis, but I don't need it to be sequential. And when I show you what I've done, because I'll show you what I've done in the past, and then I'll show you what I've done this week, for some of you that will probably drive you batty because it is not sequential. But ultimately what my goal in this is to fill up this with really interesting spreads. I don't actually need the information to be week over week over week over week, because again, the last time I was in this was in 2021. So clearly it's not something that I keep up with. So it starts off innocent enough. So this was the very first spread I did. And so I started this March 5th, 2021. This encompasses the first week of March. As you can see, I made a mistake, and I don't get fussed about mistakes. It makes me smile because I'm pretty sure I probably spaced this specifically so that it was somewhat centered, not realizing that, yeah, that's not the right month at all, but whatever. This entire journal is going to be only pen or pencil by way of color pencils or markers or colored pens, but there's no stickers or washi. So it is quite a bit of an outlier from the last probably year's worth of journal videos that I've been sharing with you, because this is designed just to be for doodling. And then I come here, and you would assume, based on how a book works, this would be the following week, but it is not. This actually is the week of March 25th, and that's because I did not want to wait to use the next section until I had used all of the craft paper. So the next week, the 8th to the 14th of March 2021, actually happens here. And I love this spread. I love playing on the different types of papers, because you can really kind of not force yourself, but you can really challenge yourself on what you're going to be doing. I love the visual. I actually don't usually read or reread my journaling spots, but I know that this, I don't want to say it was an important week. This is the week that my sister's birthday falls. And so I think I specifically chose the poppies, or what I'm assuming are poppies, as remembrance. I remember going here after we went to the graveyard to hang out with her. We did a staff bingo, and I played, at the time I was playing a lot of Stardew Valley. I don't actually play Stardew Valley or any of those types of games anymore, to include Animal Crossing, because for a period of time, especially during the beginning of the pandemic, I was actually heavily into Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, but I actually don't play any of those anymore. And I don't really need the words, although they're there. And again, this is not sequential. This is actually the next time I was coming through. So this is actually March 30th to April 4. Is that sequential? No, because that's the 8th to the 14th, right? And I didn't want to wait. So I go to the white section, and this picks up March 15th through the 21st. It was a very rough week for me. And actually, when I was working on this journal, I read through that, and I remember that incident, and I don't generally write things that are negative down because it's sticky in my head, but at the time, I stopped it for 2024. I was doing a daily highlight reel in one of the sections in my Hobonichi, because my days are pretty much not necessarily Groundhog Days, but very close. And so I would just write either the highs or the lows for the day. And this definitely was a low where a parent had verbally assaulted me at work. And it was really bad. At the end of the phone call, I was actually ugly crying and shaking. And so I loved doing the drawing, and I was inspired by Maya Sue. She had pinned it on Pinterest, and then this was just other things that were going on that week. Now, the thing with an illustrated journal is you can actually just do straight up illustrations to kind of capture what's happening in your week, or you can add journaling. Clearly, I'm doing a combination of both, but I do like to doodle, and I like coming in here and playing with that. And again, as you know, this is not going to be sequential. It's the 5th through the 11th of April, but those were the things that were happening there. And again, it might drive some of you batty because it is not sequential. But by the time I'm finished with these first 3 sections, I think it's going to look pretty awesome just flipping through the sections. Again, it doesn't really matter what the words say. It encapsulates time, effort, and creativity on my part. That I've captured a fixed point in time is actually irrelevant to me. Because I knew I wasn't going to come in here very often, I didn't want to have to wait until I got to the next section. So it is just me playing. So this is one of the spreads that I did for this week. I actually went back to my Hobonichi weeks. I'm not keeping a highlight reel, but there were some things that were happening and I actually wrote them down, but I didn't want to share that because some of them are quite personal. So that's what these posties are. They'll actually come off. This picture was inspired by an Instagram artist, Holly Hattam illustration. Whenever I see something on the internet, Instagram, Pinterest, I try to, if I can find it, who I was inspired by. And so it was quite an interesting week because there was some celebratory feelings for a particular reason, but was also the start of our spring semester, or like in the weeds of the spring semester. And I was just really, really stressed. And then jumping to the black section, the last week of March of this year, I took the entirety of the week off. I did check in daily with the team just because there are just so many job processes that only I can do. And then there was about 4 hours on one of the days that I had to work because of a meeting that was already pre-scheduled. But otherwise, it was a very relaxing week, and this was kind of the start of me falling off of posting videos to my channel, posting to Instagram, doing a lot of my creative things where I was just, any downtime I had, I was really focusing on the escapism type of hobbies that I enjoy, to include reading, watching anime, and playing either Monopoly Go or Project something on my phone. It's weird. Project Makeover. And so as you can see, I did just a smidgen of journaling, but actually the words in and of themselves is the illustrated part for me. And I really like this. I did use my Tech Job pencils in here. They work a treat. And then I used some of the Moonlight gel pens that I have, and they also work really well on the black paper. And then the final spread that I did was this one right here. And again, it is a week snapshot. And this was the week that I had officially been offered and accepted the manager position. And again, I still have misgivings and reservations, but we need to move forward as a department. And so that triggered other things happening, but it still feels weird when people congratulate me on the manager. If anything, I've just gotten more tasks, but I don't feel any more managerial than I did before. This illustration is something I found online, or inspired by, because it wasn't exactly this. And I just free draw. I don't copy anything. And this was Vector Site by Beekeepom. And I just wrote a little bit about that. And then during that same week, we had an all-day meeting at a different campus. This is reflective of that campus because I do work at a community college, and the vibe for our campuses were so different. Theirs is just so peaceful and so beautiful, but the meeting was absolute trash. It was just a day of wasted time. So this is, I won the award of surviving another meeting that actually could have been a Zoom call, because during Zoom calls, I generally am working on things just so that I don't lose the hours, because there just seems to be more and more meetings about stuff. And if you're in meetings and fully paying attention, you can't actually get any work done. So that drives me crazy. But the thing about that meeting was, as trash as the meeting was, because it was just a bunch of fluff, no one needed to be there, the food was really good. So the campus environment was really nice. The food and the snacks were excellent. And I'd actually never been to that campus before. So there was goods and bad about being there. And in fact, we had a follow-up meeting for that same meeting the following week, same campus. Food was great. Meeting was trash. Of the 7 hours we were there, because they allow for travel time, I think only about 30 minutes worth was actually useful and pertinent. So the rest of it was just like, it's just a waste of the day. but whatever. So that's what I've done for this. As you can see, no stickers, no washi, and no intentions. I don't have a specific color palette, although this kind of looks similar. I base the colors on whatever's happening in the week. Like for the black section, I have to be very cognizant of the products I'm using because I need them to show up on the black paper. So either acrylic pens will work, white gel, or the Moonlight pens work a treat. And some of this is actually pencil work. Like all of this white here, that's my Tech Job pencils. And then the craft paper, again, colors will show up differently than they show up in the other two sections. Like I've only done a little bit of shading on the outer part of her face, but the inner part is actually just the craft paper, and I think that's very effective. I'd love to know what you guys think, and it's okay if it just is driving you absolutely batty because it is not sequential. But again, like I said, as I go through this over the weeks or the months or the years, eventually these sections will get filled up. Maybe I won't wait 2 or 3 years between when I put stuff in here, but eventually I'll just be able to flip through and just see things that I've worked on. And then once I'm done with those 3 sections, then I'll just start up in the next section. And I actually found something I had done because I'm like, wait, what is that? So for July, I had actually received some happy mail from both my friend Poet and Andy, and I kind of just put that information here because I was like, what is this? Oh, I did something. But this is also back in 2021. And then I did some pen testing. I actually don't generally do that, but I was interested to see how things would work on this paper. And yeah, I did rip some things. All right, guys. Well, I would love to know what you think. Definitely let me know in the comment section below. That's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.